مسئولیت‌های خود را به دوش می‌کشید.
Millions of people filled the streets. Black flags covered entire cities. Men cried openly, women held up portraits, crowd chanted for hours. But here's the question. Were all of these people mourning because they truly loved Ayatollah Ali Khamenei? Or is there a much bigger story behind these emotional scenes? Western media often portrays Iran as a nation ready to overthrow its leaders. Yet after Khamenei's death, the images coming out of Iran looked completely different.
Who's winning? Of course, us.
So what explains this contradiction? Today, we'll uncover why millions of Iranians are mourning Khamenei, why his supporters see him as the guardian of the nation, why his critics tell a very different story, and what his death could mean for the future of Iran. Let's begin. To understand the mourning, you first have to understand the man. Ayatollah Ali Khamenei served as Iran's supreme leader for more than 3 decades, making him the country's highest political and religious authority. Presidents came and went, governments changed, economic crises erupted, sanctions intensified. But throughout it all, Khamenei remained the central figure directing Iran's military, foreign policy, judiciary, and revolutionary institutions. For millions of supporters, he wasn't simply a politician. He represented stability, a symbol of resistance, and the protector of ideas established after the 1979 Iranian Revolution. To many conservative Iranians, losing him feels like losing the country's compass. But that's the only one side of the story. Supporters often point to one defining characteristic: resistance. For decades, Khamenei consistently rejected pressure from the United States and its allies. He argued that Iran should never compromise on its sovereignty, even under crippling economic sanctions. His speeches repeatedly emphasized independence, self-reliance, and resistance against foreign influence. Many Iranians, particularly those who lived through the Iran-Iraq War or viewed Western intervention with suspicion, believed this approach protected the country from outside domination. Supporters also credit him with the strengthening Iran's military capabilities. From missile development to regional alliances, they argue these policies prevented Iran from becoming vulnerable to foreign attacks. For these supporters, mourning isn't simply about losing a leader. It's about losing someone they believe defended Iran's independence during some of its most difficult decades. But not everyone sees his legacy that way. While millions mourned, many others remained deeply critical. Critics argued that under Khamenei's leadership, Iran experienced increasing political restrictions, tighter control over dissent, and significant economic hardships. Several waves of nationwide protests also emerged during his leadership, with demonstrators demanding political and economic reforms. Human rights organizations frequently criticized the government's response to these protests. While Iranian officials argued they were protecting national security, this divide explains why reactions to Khamenei's death are so complex. For some, he was a national hero. For others, he symbolized decades of political repression. But both perspectives exist simultaneously inside Iran. One question keeps appearing online. If Iran has critics, why were the funeral crowds so enormous? The answer isn't simple. Many attendees were genuine supporters who admired Khamenei and wanted to pay their respect. Others attended because of religious tradition. Large state funerals in Iran also receive extensive government organization and media coverage, making attendance easier for supporters from across the country. Ultimately, funeral attendance alone cannot reveal what every individual believed. People attend public funerals for many different personal, cultural, political, and religious reasons. Khamenei's passing marks the end of one of the longest and most influential leadership eras in modern Middle Eastern history. The leader who guided Iran through wars, sanctions, nuclear negotiations, regional conflicts, and decades of confrontation with the West is now gone. But his legacy remains deeply contested. To supporters, he defended Iran's independence. To critics, he oversaw decades of political repression and economic hardships. And perhaps that's why the images from Iran seem so contradictory. A country can mourn a leader while still debating his legacy. History is rarely black and white. The real question isn't simple why Iranians are mourning Khamenei. It's how Iran will define itself after him. Will the next chapter bring continuity or change? Only time will tell. If you found this breakdown informative, don't forget to like the video, subscribe for more global affairs content, and let us know in the comments, how do you think history will remember Ayatollah Khamenei? I'm your host Z, and I'll see you in the next video.